Go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to yet another podcast with Runner series. This is season 8, episode 3, and this is Coach Bala coming to you from the wonderful city of Houston. I'm here for the weekend, and I thought that anything can happen, but I will not stop from recording podcasts because this is something I truly enjoy. For those of you who are connecting or getting this link for the first time, so we do this podcast with Runner series where I take the opportunity to connect with some amazing runners, but more than amazing runners, I would say amazing human beings, who have been with the Runners High community for some time and, contributed to the growing sort of sense of the community by taking their training seriously, but also adding their small part in the larger, vision and mission of the organization. And it is within that scope, I am just extremely excited to bring in 3, I would say, awesome friends first. As I said, I know these guys now. It's been like a couple of seasons there with us. And can't wait to unravel their stories and let's see what we get here. And most of the times in these podcasts, it's always a fascinating conversation, because we get to know the real people behind these runners. And we realize that, wow, we are really blessed with such amazing folks in our group. So with that, let me invite the first guest to briefly introduce himself, and then we go from there. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi Bala. Thanks for having me for this podcast. And hi Viz, hi Rahul. So I was born in Kerala, in Calicut, and then I was brought up in Andhra. In a colony life. Basically, my father was working in cement factory, so it was a colony life entire through. And while schooling, I was in Mancherial, and I was mostly into most of the sports, and I represented my school in district level in cricket, hockey, volleyball, soccer.
All of this at district level. By the way, sorry to interrupt. I think what's your name? Let's start with your name.
Yeah. I'm Sunil. Sorry about that. Okay. And we got through also in my school. We got in volleyball, and we won in the district level in volleyball too, and in basketball too. So that was good. And then I did my engineering in Tamil Nadu. So that's where I shifted from Andhra to Tamil Nadu. And I did my bachelor's in electronics and instrumentation, and pretty much started to work in Tata Consultancy Services, TCS. Yep. And I'm with them for the last around 20 years. So I was working mostly in Chennai. Then I traveled to US, and my starting location was San Antonio. Then I moved to Michigan. And after that trip, I came back, and right now I'm in New Jersey. So that's where I work in, and I work in Azure technology, and I represent TCS for cloud automation throughout US and North America. So that's what my job. And I have a brother and sister. So they are in Chennai, Bangalore and
awesome.
Coimbatore. Yep.
Awesome. And your family also running, isn't it?
Yes. And my wife Shanti, she's in running, and my son Siddharth. All of us are running for the last 4 seasons.
Awesome.
So that's pretty much me. Yeah.
So when you said, Sunil, that you were representing the various districts and all that, were you running those days?
No, I was not running. Okay. Mostly I was mostly into the games only.
Okay.
Not athletic events.
So really,
I used to do the javelin throw and all that.
Right. So really no long distance running, and but sports you are excelled. That's genetically you are a sports person, really. Yeah. That district level is pretty amazing in more than one sport. Wow, that's pretty awesome. So you studied in Andhra, you studied in Tamil Nadu. That means you might be knowing a lot of languages also, isn't it?
Yes, right. That's true. So I can speak Malayalam, Tamil, Telugu, Hindi. So I'm good with them. I can even write them too.
Oh, lovely, man. So here you guys, runners. Here is one sportsman, a linguist, There's a lot of things that can be common with Sunil. As you know, Sunil, I'm from Tamil Nadu, so it feels good that you can speak Tamil also. I didn't know that till now. So hereafter, I'm going to only speak to you in Tamil on the site, not in this podcast, because there's one guest who might not understand here. But welcome, Sunil. I'm really excited to sort of learn a little bit more about yourself as we move through the podcast. Let's invite the next guest. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. My name is Vishwanath Valluri. I go by Viz. I've been involved with sports, right from childhood. Grew up in Madras and in Hyderabad, and I think my first exposure to sports was being a ball boy to my dad, who used to play tennis in the early 70s. And since then, I grew up playing, pretty much all kinds of sports: cricket, soccer, whatever. And I think my first introduction to volleyball was when I was in 7th grade, when I was at Hyderabad Public School. And so my worst 2 years were the 11th and 12th, when, obviously in India, everybody's preparing for your engineering and JE and all that. And so I didn't play anything at all. And then got into BHU. And once we got into BHU, kind of made up for the lost time, pretty much playing, all sports, but primarily it was volleyball for me. So I was in the volleyball team in the first year, and all the 4 years just enjoyed my time out there. One of our fellow runners, GV Ganesh, one of the senior runners at RHWB. So he was my classmate at BHU, and we both ran the sports meet and the sports organization out there at BHU. So having the inter-IT competitions and everything else. So came to this country roughly about 30 years ago to do my master's in mechanical engineering. Went to State University of New York at Binghamton, upstate New York. And then graduated in MEC, and then moved to the Bay Area in '95. Joined AMD at that time. Semiconductors was the hot field, and I think it still is actually. So worked at AMD for about 7 years, and then moved back to the East Coast again to upstate New York. Did my MBA at Cornell for 2 years, and then joined investment banking, more on the equity research side. So I was pretty much a semiconductor stock analyst for Credit Suisse, and then with Morgan Stanley for about 5 years. And in the last 10 years, I've been in corporate America, working for SanDisk for about 4 years. And in the last 6 years, I've been with a semiconductor company called SK Hynix, which is a Korean company. I have so my dad is very much into in general sports, following all sports, but nowadays is a lot more into running for the last, I would say, several years. My brother, I have a brother. My brother is Kaushik. I pulled him into RHWB this season. So sorry, last season, season 7. So he lives in Austin, and my sister, she lives in Dallas, trying to pull her into as well. I have my wife Deepthi. And I have a son who's in 12th grade, and then I convinced my daughter Parnika. So she's in 7th grade right now, and so she's participating in the 10K. And apart from running, apart from my regular work and running nowadays, so I run the Peninsula Bal Vihar, which is a Sunday school. We have about 50 students, and primarily Sunday. So we run it for 32 weeks in a year, and it primarily focuses on Indian values, cultures, and focus on Bhagavad Gita and all that. So
wonderful. My God, from Silicon Valley chips to Bhagavad Gita, you have it. Investment banking to MBA to masters to IIT to sport. You have it all, man. It's really a very, very colorful resume, and a very successful one at it. So I'm so glad to have connected. We all are so glad to have connected with you. And I think you didn't say about your dad. I mentioned a little bit about his dad last episode. I think he's joining us in a Runner's High Master's program as well, isn't it, this time?
That is right, actually. He just signed up for the Master's program. So he's in Dallas right now with my sister, and he is super excited to be joining the program. And
I can't wait, man. I cannot wait. Coach Srivatsan, I'm telling you right now, only you are his coach. So it's I can't wait to have him join us. He's going to add so much color to our master's program with his energy and humility and so much more. You said you were his ball boy, so you used to play tennis at a certain professional level or something?
No. So there used to be this club in. He was a part of the Besinagar tennis club in the
I see.
early 70s,
I see.
and I think so. I used to, with my neighbor, we used to just go down as be as ball boys, just when they
Got it.
used to play. So more than anything else.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Great story. Welcome, Viz, and can't wait to
Thank you.
talk a little bit more about you and your journey. Let's invite the next guest. Please go ahead.
Hey, thanks, Bala. Hello, runners. This is Rahul Raizada, New Jersey right now. Thankfully, it's kind of cooling down after 100+ degree temperatures in the last couple of days. That's a relief. So a little bit about myself. I was all born, brought up in Delhi, went to Cambridge School, and then did my engineering from Birla's College in Bhiwani. It was pretty much computer engineering. That's what I did. And after that, I came to US for masters. Then I realized it's kind of pretty much stuff which I already studied back in India. So I quit that. I joined AIG, did a lot of traveling over there. And then I said, it's just too much of traveling. I just can't deal with that anymore. It's fun and glamorous for the first 3 travel trips. And after that, it just becomes it's too much. So I quit that, joined the dot-com boom was happening that time. I joined that dot-com firm. Of course, a lot of good stock options and everything else, which is of course worth nothing. It happened to a lot of companies. thankfully, after it folded or actually moved to California, I still was here, and I joined Deutsche Bank. I managed the whole payments business where for many years, for almost actually over 15 years there, and I could have just said they retired, but it was just getting too routine, too much boring, just people management and all. About 4 years ago, I quit and I joined this firm called StoneX, again, into Forex payments globally. I'm loving it over there. Talk about family a little bit for me on my side. All the family is pretty much athletic, starting by my parents and all parents. My dad being the sports secretary for Air India when he was working there all throughout his life. He worked there. My mom has been a runner. She has been sprints and all, always getting gold medals, and even to the point where once for her in her office, she had to run for her department and all, and she ran with my brother in her tummy, and she got the gold, of course, which she always did. But I tell my brother all the time, I know why you're some nuts are loose up there because mom was jumping around with you in the belly, right?
Yeah.
So he's my elder brother, but yeah, that's fine. He just can't beat me on that one. My younger brother too. They both are very good in sports. Pretty much cricket though. I played soccer throughout my high school and engineering. When I came to US, I even actually coached the little league soccers when my kids were little. Then they gave up. They just got into basketball and everything else. So I just stopped coaching on that side. Other than what I do on work and all and running, other hobbies, in my good old days when I was single here in the US, I tried all kind of stuff, which is from jumping from the plane to scuba diving. I'm not a swimmer at all, but I still went 30 feet under the water. And then I did me and my friends just for the heck of it. We drove from coast to coast from California, from New Jersey to California and back in about 7-10 days, kind of thing. So we did all kind of crazy stuff when we were still single and all, having good time. And one last thing which I did during COVID was happening is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. I pick up motorcycle riding.
Mm-hmm.
So I got that in
Wow.
about 2 years ago. And since I was by myself, I got another 6 friends of mine. I literally got them drunk and had them buy their motorcycles too. So we have a
Oh
kind of
my
a small
God.
group in New Jersey. So we go out riding and all. Actually, at some
Wow.
point, we're planning to go to India and ride. I think there are all tours. You go into mountains, Leh Ladakh, and you go in on like motorcycles. Something is one of those bucket list items we have to do in the future and all. My
Fascinating.
wife, yeah, and just quickly about the kids and my family. My wife Parul, she's here with us, but she is not at all into too much of sports and all. She's just done exercise at home with treadmills and everything else. Daughter's son Siddharth is doing his chemical engineering from University of Delaware. He was very quite good in volleyball when he was in school, but now he's kind of pretty much given up. My daughter Divya, she is quite good in volleyball as well. Unfortunately, a couple of months ago, she was playing and she fell down. She tore her ACL. So it's like
Ooh.
one long process, 9 months recovery. So now she's back into playing volleyball again. She is really a hustler. So with all her huge, she puts on all this stuff on his legs and all on her legs, boots and all customized. But she's back into the game and she's playing there. So yeah,
Good
That's
for
all
that.
about myself. Good, Bala.
Another colorful. What bike you have, Rahul?
So this is my second bike. The first one was a small, like 320 BMW GS. So I moved from that to, I got bored within 2 months, and then I upgraded that to 850cc GS only, but it's 850cc bike now. It's
Oh
a
wow,
BMW GS.
850cc. I remember my first bike was in Suzuki 100, and I thought I was like the
Yeah.
hero out there. You are
You're
saying
the one.
850cc, 800, 8 times more power than that. So are you that? Are you that biker in Lincoln Lawyer? Like there are 15s of guys with all the black and
Yeah.
black thing. That's how you ride around in New Jersey.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny. So that's good. Bala brought it up. So there are those Harley people who would just be having a helmet and all and nothing else.
Yeah.
But us, we make sure we have all the gear. It's something called get all the gear all the time.
Got
So we
it.
want to enjoy the riding. And if God forbid something happens, at least they have the jackets and the boots and the gloves. So it's just a bit of nuisance and all, but not like, you get paralyzed and things of that nature. So yeah, we are not the kind of club. We are more of fun riding, but with all safety and all. You won't see us going on turnpike at 95 miles an hour doing wheelies and all. But we do speed up and all. But yeah, mostly on the countryside, and we probably go out riding to some back roads to all the way to Dutch County and Pennsylvania and all. But yeah, it's all fun enjoyment ride, not doing crazy stuff there.
Got it. Anyway, the audience, this just introduction only. I have so many beautiful, colorful threads going on here. There's a biker here. There's a person who can speak 5, 6, 7 languages. And there is this sports secretary in the college. Then father is another sports secretary of all of Air India. Then mother is a gold medalist all the time. I think maybe it's time for me to see if you can get your mom in a runner's high master's program at some point. She might be a beautiful
Honestly,
parent.
yeah. So Bala, whenever I go for these runs and I keep sending my things to my mom, I mean, she's the first one. She's like, keep doing it. And when she comes here, they come here like once every couple of months. I'll definitely try to see, and she'll be all for.
I would love to
doing
get
a fast
connected,
work.
introduced to
Yeah,
her, and
definitely, yes.
let's hear the other side. Oh, this is such a fascinating group. Now audience, why I'm all excited to peel this onion one layer at a time. So let's start with Viz this time. And Viz, you've been doing all of that. Clearly, professionally, you are in a different plane altogether, and you are into sports, as you said. How come you got into running, and how did you get into runner's high?
Yeah, this is very. So I was always into sports, but I never ran in my life.
Yeah.
I'll tell that I always used to think that running is for people who can't play sports.
Right.
That is what I used to think, and even Ganesh also used to share the same thing with me. And and even here, like the last 10 years, I've been playing a lot of volleyball actually, both sand volleyball and grass volleyball. And then COVID came. And then when COVID came, there's nothing, you can't play volleyball, there's nothing to do. And then Ganesh's entire family had started RHWB just when COVID had come. And at that time, I just went for my meniscus tear operation and I thought, let me just recover. And when that season 4 got over, October 15th or something like that, the entire family ran that half marathon. For me, that was super inspirational.
Absolutely.
And when I spoke to Deepa, Ganesh's wife, she said, you can do it. And I was like, I never ran before, I can't even run half a mile. And then they said, no, don't worry about it. You join the program, you'll definitely do that. I said, I was very excited. So I said, I signed up for season 5, and season 5 was about to start January 1st. So I signed. So before that excitement was there. I got my watch and I started running during Christmas break. And I was doing long runs with no training, basically. And then the training program started January 1st and everything else. And lo and behold, I think the 10th or something of Jan, I sprained my ankle. And I didn't tell my coach. And 2 weeks later, the 2-week rule came and I was kicked out of the program.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yep. So for people who are listening and 2 weeks, there's no participation, I am a live example of somebody who got kicked out. And it was so disappointing. I cannot tell that mail from you, Bala. Till now, I have that actually. very disappointing mail. And even my son came and he said, "Oh, Dad, you got kicked out. It's okay. We'll try to get back." I said, "No, I will."
Sorry.
Yeah, and no. And I told my son, actually, no, I will get back into the program. I will practice on the side, but next season I'll definitely. And then I apologized to GB and Deepa, saying that, yeah, I just couldn't do it. And so anyway, so it went on, and then the next season came, and again I signed up, and it was phenomenal. So that is how I kind of got. And in the meantime, I was doing a little bit of walking, this, that, and all that, and just loved it, actually. And that was
Wow.
where I felt, and just before the start of season 6, Ganesh's family had come to the Bay Area, and we all went hiking and all that in Yosemite and everything else. And so my first week, we did it at Yosemite and all that. And so then kind of got into the program, and that's how I was basically got into running. And it's
This is
been
this is fascinating. The next segment, I want to really talk about what changed from the previous season to the next season. Where, first of all, audience, I want to just say a heartfelt thanks to Viz for having the self-confidence to say, yes, I screwed up, I got kicked out of the program, and I have no qualms about admitting that, which is ideal candidate for that. Kicked out of the program means what? Let's say, I'll take a 1-minute detour here because it's an important point you brought up. And this is the first time I have one podcast guest risen to the level of podcast guest from being kicked out of the program. That means what? Like, he has seen the whole journey. He has seen the journey where he slacked off for whatever reason, and then got the I would say the rightful response to being slacked off, and then decided that, man, I need to turn around, which is what I wanted to talk to him about in the next question, because that's a very important point I want to see, because there are enough of you right now who might be thinking, man, I haven't done anything. My coach is already giving me signs. And there will be a time when the coach will have to say, I'm sorry, I'm not able to continue coaching you, right? So that doesn't mean it's the end of the road. It just means life happens for people, guys. Marathon, when you sign up, signing up is an important step. It's not easy. People have to take some effort to sign up. But unfortunately, that is literally just the beginning. It's like marriage. The marriage day is the beginning of a very, very, very long journey of, long journey of adjustments, improvements, and making things work and that type of stuff, right? Just because you tied the knot doesn't mean you are having a happy married life. Your work starts that day. Likewise, just because you signed up for a marathon doesn't mean you're done with a marathon. That is when you really start the work. And there are unfortunately times when your life doesn't allow you to do something mentally, mental mindset, physical stuff, all the stuff. But that doesn't mean that's the end of the road. I think that's what Viz is. Very fact, Viz is here as a guest and an esteemed guest at this. And I want to say something here. There is a reason why I brought these three together. All of these three runners have been with us for at least 2+ program. They will tell you in their discussions. And it was I was looking for someone whom we haven't had I had the pleasure of having podcast with, but I know they're all exceedingly good, dedicated, committed runners. So I wanted to talk with them, not just folks who just completed half marathon just last season. And here we are. So just by the very fact, when Viz said that he got kicked out of the program, he's here, an esteemed crowd. That means there has been an amazing journey from that point. And I want to bring that color to you guys shortly. And thanks for bringing that up. You're already a leader. A sign of a leader is having the self-confidence to say that at that point it was a low, and at this point I'm a high. Ability to say both is what leadership in my books. So thank you for showing that leadership to the audience here. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you. Sure.
Rahul, what's your story, buddy? How did you get into running?
Sure, Bala. This is actually interesting story here as well. In my case, so when I was in Deutsche, I used to go for those 5Ks in New York City and all. I used to feel very great about that I can do all these 5K runs, amazing JPMC runs, right? I have like t-shirts from God knows how many years. Like every year I'll go in, company sponsors and all. So I joined this firm, StoneX. And then as soon as I joined, our business head, Karsten, he would always have this event at his place for a party and all, and a run with that too. So these friends said, well, I said, it's kind of all the way in Connecticut. Who's going to go there? He said, no, sign up. It's a fun party. He just throws a great party every year, does it. I said, okay, I signed up for that. And then it's nice after said, so how do we prepare for the run? They said, like, what run? He says, when I got the questionnaire, he said, there was a party and there was a half marathon. They said, we don't do half marathon, we just go to the party. I said, I said, what do I do now? He said, we don't know. I mean, you figure it out now. So I said, you can't come back. So I had to kind of ask Karsten, like, what do I do? I've never done it. So he's, what kind of shoes you got? And I had those Nike and all. He said, first go to Roadrunner, get some decent shoes, and then just practice a couple of runs a week. And nothing about, I had no idea of CP training, no idea about strengthening and all, whatever else. I mean, I couldn't keep on going back to him, his business head and all. So I did the runs and all, and I'll come to that maybe later on. I did get injured during the training because it was not very focused the way Bala runs the training with all those important elements of strengthening the muscles and all. There was no guidance about that at all. So of course, once I twisted my ankle, but I kept on running too. So anyway, the day came and I couldn't sleep the whole night. I was staying in a hotel over there in Connecticut. The next morning, I just couldn't, I had to run. So I think Bala, as your story is, when you did your first marathon, you just put on the shoes and ran. And that's all I did. I had no idea, but I had no idea of goo gels or anything of that sort. And I just somehow made it. I mean, I was probably one of the last ones to just drag myself. And when I got in there, thankfully, Karsten had at his party, he had actually had a masseuse come, and he's got, of course, huge home and all in a room for any runners who can get a massage, because otherwise I couldn't have driven back all the way from Greenwich, Connecticut over back here in Jersey. So that was, and I said, after that, I said, I really have to understand how this gets done. That's why I was looking around, like, running trainings, and I couldn't find anything. Then, in fact, I went to Roadrunner website, and that's where I found Bala's name. So I was looking for coaches, and I'm like, who's in New Jersey? And Bala's name came up. And that's when I reached out to, I think Indu and all. I think you guys was literally, season 6 was closing, almost closed at that time. And I requested, can I please join and all? And that's it. Once I got in, and then there's no looking back then after that. And thanks, Bala, especially for the program, especially about I'll come to that in later too. Advice section is, of course, the strengthening of all those. I was just finished the whole podcast about different muscles and everything else. It is so relevant and so important, those exercises. And had I known that before, like a couple of years ago, I wouldn't have had this chronic ankle situation going on with me right now.
That's another very interesting story, guys. So, guys, some context here. So, RRCA website, all registered coaches, we are listed. Like if somebody, like what Rahul did, you can go to RRCA website and just search, put your Edison or New Jersey or wherever, and it will at least give all the registered coaches around. Okay. So 99.99% of the coaches typically use that as a way to get runners under their program. My side is the other way around. I was like, I don't want anything, I haven't done anything on anywhere. My only thing is, it's not about runners. It's about amazing people. So the amazing people will bring other amazing people. If they don't bring also, it's fine. If they bring also, it's fine. That has always been our thought process. So literally everyone in our community has always been a word of mouth from someone. Rahul is our first, and if I'm not mistaken, the only RRCA. Two more are there, and those two did not finish their program. So Rahul has the medal of the only person who came in blind pipeline. Like he had absolutely nobody who told him into. So when I, from the other side, Rahul, I've never told you this. When your thing came in, RRCA sends me a separate email. Hey, this particular runner is interested in your program. I'm like, whoa, who is this person? I said, who's the friend of? Then I realized he's coming through RRCA. Then that time Madhvi was the admissions person. So I told Madhvi, hey, Madhvi, this is a first time coming. You have to get this person in because this person himself has come in without anything. So I want to really surprise him, about what we are doing here because you have no introduction. So I'm so glad that it started off like that. And now you are here as a podcast guest. That's another type of story, like what this story here is from somewhere, different new thread of coming to the podcast. And Rahul, you've been amazing. Coach Suja right now is coaching you. Is that right? Or is that
correct? Yeah.
Coach Suja?
That is correct.
He can't stop talking about you in terms of your commitment and your dedication and all that.
Thanks a lot. Well, thanks for taking me in because when I was reaching Madhvi, it was literally almost the curtain was coming down.
It came down. No, it was not coming down. It already came down. But I said, this is the first time RRCA, so let's make it happen.
It was a new channel.
Thanks for
it's a new channel. So that was awesome. Sunil, what's your story, buddy? What's your interesting story that is coming up here?
Sure, Bala. So, my running journey started, like I was putting a lot of weight. So I started running, but without any structured programming. I was just used to run.
Yeah.
And no, it was, I mean, the experience which I had was terrible. So somewhere around 10 miles in or something, in the race day, I was feeling like I might almost go faint or something, or my emergency contact will be called. But somehow I completed it. And later on, I went through around 2 or 3 cycles, but it was always difficult. 2, 3 marathons I ran, but it was always difficult. Like at the end of the marathon, half marathon, I used to feel like I'm completely out. I can't do anything for the other 2 days. Then, like as this was also stating out, I was more into volleyball and kickboxing and all that stuff. Then Corona came. Then again started focusing on the running, and that's the time when my wife Shanti, she got the contact from Deepak's wife Moni. They work in the same company. So herself and my son Siddharth, they both joined into the half marathon. And my wife and my son doesn't know anything about half marathon. They just joined it. They didn't even knew that it was 13 miles. But they did it. And I was like, no, you two are going to run 13 miles. I mean, I was like, no. I used to feel myself that I'm really strong, and I was struggling to get it completed.
Yeah.
Then I saw them 1 week through, and I was seeing like they're easily doing that. So that's where I thought to get into, but it was all late. But I was like you call that lava, the
Eklavya student. Yeah.
Eklavya mode. I was following the plan for the first season. For the fourth season, that was the fourth season. So, and that season I felt really good. Though I was in the Eklavya mode, it was the best half marathon which I had. And then season 5, 6, 7, I was doing half marathon. And the highlights when I call that the structured programming. And
so we will talk about the highlights shortly.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the highlights shortly. But
Yeah.
it's very interesting. There's a couple of really golden nuggets that are coming out. I want to bring that out here, right? So, so guys, in RSWB history, I've told this a couple of times, but I'll tell it again. Women brought their men. It is like on a majority level, not always, like, you know, this is doing the opposite side, but most of the times women join and then they exceed expectations of the husband. You know, they don't think, I mean, they suddenly think this lady doesn't do anything. Suddenly he's running half marathon with a smile. Not just half marathon, she's running with a smile. What is happening here? And the guy just like say, okay, then I have to do it myself. And then in this route, when the guys come into the program, they come in with extreme, like, you know, disproportionate use of force. They come in with absolute commitment, dedication, because they, I know for some reason, they want to be amazing in this one. And I've seen so many examples. The guys that the women brought in, the guys are the most dedicated. They just kill it. And clearly, Sunil, we're going to talk about that. That's what he was about to start off with that. And we will. In fact, we'll start with you, Sunil, in the next question. So that was one golden nugget that I wanted to say. I want to thank Shanti for bringing us such an amazing runner as you, a district level sports person who was finding it difficult to run, who was having, you know, like there was no run with a smile. In fact, there was a run with a tear by the end of the half marathon, looking at his own son, 10-year-old, 11-year-old Sid, just doing 5 miles and 4 miles easily. And he's like, I'm a district level athlete. Why am I struggling? And why is this young kid of mine is doing so easily, right? That was the thought.
Yeah, that is exactly the same thing. Yeah.
Right. That's what I was bringing, that putting words in your mouth when you were saying this. That was the second thing. So that's another common thread, guys. Okay, I've seen it in other places. The third one, he brought about this Eklavya, and I know that many places I've said, and I assume that everybody knows what it is. It is possible the new runners have no context of what this is. So let me just tell 20 seconds on that. So Eklavya in this, I think it's a Ramayana Mahabharata. It's Ramayana.
Mahabharata.
Yeah, Drona. Sorry, Mahabharata.
Yeah.
So Dronacharya is this big Guruji for teaching, archery and all that, right? But maybe he was busy. The season, curtains came down, and Eklavya wanted to join, and this guy Eklavya wanted to be his student, and Drona said, "Sorry, I'm full. I can't do it anymore. Final surge is complete." So what Eklavya did is literally assumed and imagined that Drona is his guru, and essentially taught himself with the auspices of Guru's basic framework a little bit, okay? And taught himself, and almost, the legend goes that he was as good as Arjun when it comes to, maybe this, you can correct me if I'm making some corrections here, but he was really good. He was so good that Drona himself couldn't imagine that this person is so good, but he was not even trained by Drona. He was a parallel phase, but he looked at Drona as a leader, as a Kuru. So why we brought that Ekalaiva word is we realized as the seasons grew, we realized that we were inspiring these other runners who are not part of the group, but they got inspired by the runners and they said, you know what, I'll just follow you, like whatever you're doing. And they did an excellent job. And because that season they were not part of it, and then they joined. So that group is called the Ekalaiva group. They are not part of the season, but they still did whatever they had to do. So that's why we call them Ekalaiva students. Why I brought this up here is that you all have the ability to be that inspiration for multiple Ekalaivas around you. You know, that's why I wanted to bring this story up. Sunil became an Ekalaiva not because of me. Sunil became an Ekalaiva because of Siddharth and Shanti. When he looked at Shanti and Siddharth, he felt inspired. Said, okay, if they can do, then I can do. Even so what if I'm not part of the team? Let me go along with it. And there are multiple such stories like that. So I want you to know that you have within you an ability to inspire and change other people's lives by just doing what you're doing just now. Don't do anything more. Just follow the program. Automatically, you will end up inspiring other Ekalaivas. And that is your way of impacting somebody else's life. The biggest return on your effort is seeing you inspiring others to impact other people's life in a positive manner. So thanks for sharing that story, buddy. So let me go back to you, since I told you, how was your 16 weeks training when you joined as a non-Ekalaiva regular student? How was it? Some highlights and lowlights, please.
Yeah, sure, Bala. So from the highlights, I mean, the structure program, that's the best thing. Like, before when I was running, I was used to run the constant speed or the same speed or same distance always. That's the only thing which I knew. So in the structure program, the way we were gradually going up the variations of runs. That was really good. That helped a lot. And that helped a lot for me to scale up for the half marathon, and felt really good after the run. Like it used to feel like, really I've done something great. And and next year also I'm ready to run. I mean, that sort of feeling was there. And coming to the highlights, what I would say is that it was snowing for a couple of weeks. There was nothing to be, I mean, you can't run anywhere. Myself and my son, we used to go around the community and see like if there is any place where we can run, right? Anywhere where it is cleaned or whatever. But there was none. So at the same time, I think Deepak posted out his daughter running inside the house. Then I thought like, wow, this is also possible. So my son used to run inside our house in the apartment. Second floor. And the good thing is like I even ran strides inside the house.
First of all, how big is your house? Let's start with that. How big is your house? When you ran, how big was your house?
No, it is very small. Only kitchen and hall.
So you run strides in the kitchen and hall?
Yeah, that's what it was. So it was around 5 miles we ran like that. So that was really good. So that would be the highlights, I would say.
Oh my God. Stop for a second. Stop for a second. Let me enjoy this before you brush this aside, right? I can see visibly Miss and Rahul are like, so excited to hear.
Amazing, right?
Yeah. I'm surprised you were allowed to do that at home. Your wife didn't. It's like, what's going on? Like,
no, because she's a runner too.
Oh, so the whole family's running together. That's good, actually.
So, are you in the first ground floor or in the second or third floor in your
first
apartment?
Floor.
Exactly.
First floor. And I was trying to run very softly. I think I managed to do that. I didn't get any complaints.
Guys,
So
audience,
Very nice.
audience, let me bring this up, right? This is how commitment, dedication looks like. I'm not asking you to do it. Okay, that's not the point here. Nobody asked him to do it. It's not as if, some coach said, hell or high water, you have to run 5 miles. That's it. That's not what it was. He was committed and dedicated enough to say that if a small kid of 10-year-old Deepak's daughter could do it, so what? Like, it's about just breaking some status quos, breaking some framework that is driving us. And saying, why not? Like, okay, I need some place to go around. I'll go around the kitchen and drawing room. That's all. No, I'll do strides. 5 miles. Oh God, that's amazing. That inspires a lot of people. I've heard stories like this, guys. People running in airports. Newark Airport, from terminal C of one corner to the other corner, terminal C. And that person was saying that people look at him like, initially they thought he's running for flight. So he was okay. Then when they saw him 5 times, he's like some crazy guy is running around there. But he said before they could realize he ran away. Interesting thing. He said very interesting thing. He said because airport is a moving population, no? So every time he came back, somebody else was looking at him. So everybody thought he was running for the flight. So that's a good idea of doing this. But Sunil, please go ahead. That was very, very nice of you. Fantastic, man. Go ahead. What else?
And from a low light point, I mean, the only season which I could not run at least for a week or two was the last season. While playing volleyball, not while running, but while playing volleyball, I twisted my ankle. So for 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks, I could not make the long runs. But then I did the half marathon, and that was the best half marathon which I had. I thought I would not be able to do it, but luckily I could complete it. So that was my low light and highlight. Nothing from an injury point or anything. Thanks for that.
Awesome, Sunil. And guys, audience, you should know Sunil is one of the strongest strength runner here we have. He does one-hand push-ups, double push-ups. He has sent the pictures of him doing something and blows my mind. Like, he's a true sportsman here. Like, this guy is like a sculpted runner. He knows his body. He's a muscular, and he is, and if his runs and all are like just picture perfect runs right now. I'm sure he doesn't have any pain. He's really strong, muscular. He focuses on strength exercises a lot. So, Sunil, you've been an inspiration to me, buddy. Some of the videos that I've seen of you. Please feel free to share to others. Don't feel shy if you're doing some really cool stuff. We would like to celebrate your strength exercises as well. Viz, what about you, buddy? What's your sort of story here?
So my highlights, I think, there are multiple. I'll just kind of, so the first time I ran my first half mile, non-stop, my first mile, my first 2 miles, every time it was an accomplishment because, you're running, you're doing something which I've never done before. So I used to enjoy all those things. And then my first 5 mile, I think I'll never forget that. We had a function. It was on a Saturday. We had to go to somebody's house. The function was supposed to start in the morning 7, and it was supposed to go the whole night, the whole day. And I knew I couldn't do it in the night. So what we did, so we reached that place maybe around 11:15, 11:30 in the night. Then I told, something, I'm going to wait for half an hour. Everybody was about to go to bed. I said, let me finish my run and then I'll go to bed so that next day I don't have to worry about it at all. Yeah. And everybody thought I was crazy and, you're here for something. I said, no, I will be up and, I'm a morning guy and I will definitely be up. There's no problem. And I felt at that point that, I definitely exceeded. So my mind said I can do anything basically. So I went for my 12:15 run. It was not a great run. So my coach definitely gave me a lot of feedback on that, what happened in second mile and third mile and all. But I told coach it was like a new place and all this kind of a thing. So that was one of the highlights was just that mental thing, achieving. And I always get a high whenever. And I found that running is the easiest way to get a high. Yeah. You feel down, it's one of the weird things. You feel so tired and all that. You do a physical exercise and come back, you're energized, which is so counterintuitive. But that was what I felt was, that's one of the things I feel. And also in one of your podcasts, also you said, Bala, when you go for run, I always think about the problems I have. Basically, what is the work problems, whatever it is, just trying to see, because there's a lot of clarity that you get. I don't listen to anything. I just listen to my footsteps pretty much. And I think that is where pretty much the whole thing is. I think from a highlight again, I think those are pretty much, I think, some of the highlights. And then the highlights is also destination runs. Yep. So this time when we went to India, we went on a North India tour and all that. Pretty much I ran in most of the places that we were there. I ran, I would say, every other day in Hyderabad. I've never seen that side of Hyderabad before, as the way when you run and all that. So that was fantastic. And I think low lights, you can't beat my low light. Okay, getting kicked out of the program, like you can't go.
Tell me about that, Viz. I wanted to ask you in the previous section. Yeah. So yes, the first 2-3 weeks, and what changed when you came back? What was it that you changed to sort of get into a different path?
Yeah, so I always love structure. I always believe when somebody has done something and they are helping others, it's like a it's a banana is there. You're not even peeling it. You just have to take it. And that is how I thought. Even when I came into the first season, the season I got kicked out was, oh, I am a sportsman. Like I had that kind of an attitude, like I'm a sportsman. So what is the big deal with running and all that? But then there are different skills to run basically. Just because you're a sportsman doesn't mean that you can run though.
Correct.
And so even before the season started, like I said, I think I ran like a 5 mile or something like that without knowing anything. And so I promptly injured. And then I said, no, 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 no. I need to stick to the program. I need to stick to the program. And that was the only thing I said, when I get back, that's all I will do. I will just follow to the T, whatever happens with strength training means strength training and running and all that. And that was for me the biggest transformation actually. And till today, I think that is what I kind of, I don't want to overdo what is, when the coach said something, there's a reason why they said that. And, they didn't, there's a reason why they said, do only this and slow down here and all that. And that's my biggest learning. And I think that's my biggest, message as well. When everything is given on a platter, all we have to do is eat it. Don't overthink it.
Amazing story, man. Amazing. So proud of you that you came in with that mindset. So if you think about it, audience, all he's saying is it's the mindset that makes you, make or break this journey is the mindset. You come in with the mindset of just follow the program, come what may, go and do it. That is the mindset. Once you get it, and then think one day at a time. If I have to add that, I'll only say that. Don't overthink 10 days, next week, what will happen? 2 miles only, I'm struggling right now. How can I do for 13 miles? All that, let the coach think for you. That's what they are doing. They're supposed to be doing that job. You just think about today. So today is 2 mile run. Go and complete 2 mile run. Come what may, like what Viz did. That doing that is a breaking some shackles, mental shackles. That who said that you have to do it only at 6 o'clock in the evening or 6 o'clock in the morning? I will do it at 12 o'clock in the night. It doesn't matter. I can do whatever time I feel like. And when you get into that mindset, audience, come rain, you look forward to go and run in the rain. Like I think this one beautiful little kid just posted a picture in the Runners Club and she enjoyed it. I am so glad she did it. Of course, if lightning and others, your parents and kids, you have to be careful there. But if there is just rain, just go out for a run. If it is snowing, go out for a run. All of these things that are mental taboo that we kept it on ourselves, once you break it, you will realize it's an exhilarating experience. It's an exhilarating experience. So I'm so glad that you saw that and now you are totally a different runner. Rest is history, as they say. You've never looked back, Viz, after that. You've just back.
Yeah, I just want to add one point out there, Bala. I think the community is phenomenal in pushing each other. And the reason I say that is many times I see the weather in the East Coast. Now, it's raining, it's hot, it's snowing and all. And in California, when I wake up and today I feel a little lethargic. What excuse do I have? It's like the same 70 degrees all through the year. And so there is that excuse is gone basically. And so you have to wear it on. So when you wake up and you see, oh my God, at 6 o'clock or whatever in snow, somebody has finished the run, they posted it. That is super inspiring. I think the community, that's what makes a difference, I think, in this whole thing.
Great point, Viz. Rahul, what are your highlights and lowlights, buddy?
Sure. It's amazing to hear how Viz put together, right? It's amazing in terms of the highlights and the lowlight as well. And like the way you articulated Viz, that yes, it's all on the platter. Just grab it. That's pretty much it. It's so put together in front of you. So when it comes to me, definitely the first highlight is when I didn't even know if I'd be able to finish by that first half marathon, which I was not even prepared for. So when I saw it, because before that finish line, there was a hill actually, and a lot of people will just give up on that one. And I'm like, I'm there. I've come that far. I have to cross it. So it took God knows, I don't know, like 3 hours, something, or maybe 2 hours, 40 minutes, some long time. But when I crossed it, that was the first highlight of my run in my whole lifetime. I never saw. Imagine I'll be able to get through that, without being any training to begin with. And after that, I think what I see when people start posting on their destination runs, and I think Bala, you encourage that quite a lot, and that's made me think whenever I travel, start packing up pair of running shoes, right? And
Yes.
so, so just last couple of months ago, actually, I was for a business trip to India, and then I had to go to Delhi too. And I'm like, between India Gate and Rajpatri Bhavan, this Rajpath there. I'm
Oh
like,
my goodness.
growing
What
up,
a run that is.
yeah, yeah. So I'm like, I grew up here. I used to take school bus there, going all this area, hanging out with friends. Why not go for a run? I'm like, it used to get hot too in Delhi that time. So I said, I'll probably get the earliest metro I can just get off there, and I just got some like a bottle of water. So I got off, and then I tried to go there for a run, and there's some construction going on, and then all these Javans and all won't let you go in. I'm like, I came all the way. It is my this thing. I want to run on this. So they checked me thoroughly and all, but they let me run through that whole corridor, which
Yeah.
was
Oh, wow.
amazing experience. And then I could see the sun coming out over India Gate and all, and like people like all the Jawans coming. And then actually I was running all in Connaught Place, which I was grew up in, going in, like scooters, buses, and everything else. So that was definitely something a highlight I could never forget.
Absolutely. No doubt.
That was, and then again, I think this whole thing, and then after that, I took my parents to Jaipur. And then again, in the morning, I got up and they were still sleeping in the hotel. So I just put on my shoes and I went to the streets and I started running, of course, make sure it's safe and GPS, everything else is there. It's now, if you're like running shoes, any city is, can just come in your shoes for miles and miles and have a good time. And yeah, I think I was just put together before. When you come back, so the start is a bit, it makes you like, this inertia of that. But once you're done, it just feels so amazing that
Great.
you feel to that runner's high is actually a real thing that you feel about it. And if you don't do it, you miss it. It's like a drug, right? That's what it's supposed to be. So that's something, and I think all of us, including myself, will have these kind of these high times because we go out, do these things. And I don't think there's, in the future, I'll probably ever have anything which I can say less or more than other high times because they're all great runs. Of course, on the low side of things as well, as injuries come in,
Yep.
I definitely have an ankle which I twisted. It's like chronic situation with me, so I have to be careful. Unfortunately, just a couple of weeks ago, I was running again, was not paying attention, and I had twisted it again. So a couple of days I had to take a break. So that was again low time during my runs. And then lately in Jersey, when it's being so hot, it's like 100. Like I come back from work in New York City and all, and still at 7 o'clock, still showing like about 85, 90 plus, 92 plus with
Wow.
humidity, right? I'm like, I have to do it, right? I don't know how, but I'll do it. And then I take 2 bottles of water, one to keep dumping and one to keep drinking. That's what I'm doing. So, but yeah, it gets to you. And by the time you come back, you have to be careful about that too, that not to overexert and pass out on the road, right? So these are a bit of low times you can call it, but I think they're all achievable. I think it's last time we used to have like mind over miles. If your mind is made, you can overcome. You have to find it ways to do it properly and safely, but you can overcome those. So those are some of those low times of I can high too as well.
Beautiful. You brought that destination runs, folks. Guys, I cannot stress enough on that destination runs. If I have to say like 3 stages of this journey, I would say in my sort of framework way. Stage 1 is where you somehow run, because you have to run, you are committed. I'm talking about the basis is committed dedication. This is people, once they have become committed and dedicated, I would then split that into 3 stages of commitment and dedication, right? 1 is because they're committed and dedicated, they will somehow make it happen. That's first stage. Then comes the second stage where they will not only make it happen, they will also try to have some fun. That means they will make sure that if I organize a group run, they will come and join. Or they will go with friends and family and run. Or they'll travel 1 or 2 miles and go to the nearest park as opposed to being at the same place they will run, but they just want to explore their region. That would be the second stage. Then comes the third stage, which is what I want all of you to be in. The third stage is run is just a byproduct. The key is to explore various places that the world has given you, the God has given you, right? And you realize that running is the most beautiful way to explore these various places. If you get into that mindset, the tactical output of that mindset is this. when you go for a vacation, work travel, jo bhi hai, the first item you will pack is your shoes. When you get there, then you are in that stage. Remember that. So you need to get to that stage. You will not care about everything else. First thing you will do is pack the shoes. That means you're ready for that trip. Whether it is then the second thing will be now, if not the immediate second thing, before you go to the airport, you'll open up Google Maps and check out. You know, where is it that I can run? Yeah. Okay. And then for people like me, business trip, I only have 9-10 hours a day in a particular place. Because I keep going from many cities. Even then I check, I will stop going to any hotels anymore. I only do Airbnb. Why? Because Airbnb, I can pick and choose the house that is next to the place I can run. Okay, I only do Airbnb. And because of that one strategic decision, guys, I have run in some of the most marquee, amazing places ever that I can think of. Like, you know, because the same place I go to San Diego, I pick up 15 different Airbnbs, 15 different beaches. It's just absolutely an exhilarating experience. And then run, as I said, is a byproduct. I am just running in different places, cities, cultures, people, you know, and then folks, somebody might say, but I don't go to beaches area, Bala. I go to the center of town. Oh, fantastic. If you go to the center of a city, Athens, I ran in the center of the city. So it is like the most chaotic traffic you can think of. But I ran through the marketplace, through the small streets, everything. That was an experience by itself, you know. So I just want you to say, and the Janpat thing, I'm so glad, Rahul, you were able to do that. Luckily for me, when I went there, I chose this hotel right next to Janpat. So I didn't have that metro issue. When I went there, it was 3 days or so before Independence Day or Republic Day, I think.
Yeah.
The entire army was out there, band was out there, they were preparing and marching and that.
Wow.
They allowed me to run. I don't know how they allowed me to run. I went to the parliaments, the India gates, and it's a mind-blowing experience, man.
Yep, absolutely.
Right? So folks who are going to India for vacation, if you don't do these Janpat rounds, the Bangalore, you know, the Nilima is beautifully posting in various places, Kerala runs, Marina beaches of Chennai, you don't know what India is about till you go for the Jaipur is another beautiful place to run as well. So good stuff. Thanks for sharing that, Rahul. Okay, Viz, let's get back to you. I know now, how many half marathons you have done till now?
So I've done 3 so far, 2 through RHWB and 1 outside with our friends.
3 have completed, and training for the 4th one, I believe, for this season. That's a large collection of half marathons already. So why don't you take us through your head, like how did you experience a half marathon? How was that day?
So let me talk about my first half marathon. My first one was very interesting. So I didn't participate in any race, so I ran in Foster City itself. The build up to that half marathon, you know, for newcomers, maybe you won't be knowing this, but you don't run much in the last 2 weeks. So for me, that itself was, I was feeling very itchy. And so there was oh my God, what is going to happen? And so that scare part of I'm not running much the last 2 weeks, and then I have to run half marathon. That was one thing. Not only that, then we are loading up on carbs. So you're eating and you're not running much. I was like very nervous. And to tell you the truth, I didn't sleep much the previous night.
Of course.
I was very, first time, very nervous and all. And I gave my wife the map that I'm going to run. And, you know, this is the road. And roughly I'll be here at this point and things like that. And I started, I think it was a good run. I was going as per plan and all. And towards after the 10th, maybe the 10th mile, that's when I realized the importance of strength training. As expected, my first season I did, but I don't think I did it with as much dedication, but I could definitely feel my glutes talking to me and, that kind of a feeling. And then by the time I came to my 11th mile, I was like very skeptical, maybe my pace or whatever. But luckily my son ran 1 mile with me and my daughter ran the last mile. And that just pushed me over basically. So that one was an amazing experience. And that was fantastic. And then the last one I did in the last season, that we did it as a part of a group. So it was Chinmaya Mission's Om Run. So a lot of runners and all that. And first time, like running in a group, I told Coach Watts that this is how I'm planning to do, Coach, this is the timing. But in that excitement, everything went off. Like I was like, I felt so ashamed going back to the coach and saying I didn't get the PRS. It was a reverse PRS, and given an opportunity, I want to correct it and all. So I beat my prior record by maybe about 11 minutes, but it was just not a good feel because I didn't get the PRS. So this time I'm waiting to see how it's going to happen. So I
It's
just wanted to.
amazing. So what's your sort of PR right now?
So my right now it's 2:26, 2 hours and
My
26.
God, that's a nice pace from not able to sustain 2 weeks of running to 3 half marathons with a PR of 2:26 and feeling bad that you couldn't do PRS. Those of you who do not know what is PRS, don't worry. Couple of weekends later, I will tell you. Now you don't worry about it. As I said, right? Things that you don't know, don't worry about it. Just focus on what you're asked to do. We will talk about PRS soon. But that's brilliant, Viz. That's great. Congratulations. 3 half marathons.
Thank you.
I see a full marathoner in you, honestly. It's just a matter of time. It will come. I'm not pressurizing you, but I do see same thing for you, Sunil. And same thing for you, Rahul. Another 3 common thing. I do see a full marathon in 3 of you. And we'll get there. Sunil, what's your story, buddy?
Before getting into RH runners high, I had around 4 half marathons I did. All of them were struggling one, but I did 4. I managed to do 4 of them. Then in runners, I have done 4 half marathons.
Wow.
So it's really good. I felt really good. So the best part which I had is like the preparation and planning, like what in each mile, how speed I should be running, and executing them, and able to execute them, I would say, right? So that was the best part which I had. Apart from that, the hydration and stuffs, and like Viz was also stating out, like having the glue and other stuffs. I never knew that we should be having something while running.
Like Rahul style.
So drinking at appropriate time and all that, and planning for the race, right? That was a really good thing. Like I see Deepak's videos, right? Like I see like how much he plans, just before the race, like packing everything, doing. I never pack even for my journeys, but before the half marathon, I do really packing. So that was a good thing which I got. And like Bala was stating out, right now, first thing what I do when I go to any place, I just see like where should I run, like what is the place where run, right? And carrying the shoes. And my mother also says like, how many shoes are you carrying? I said this one is completely important for me.
Absolutely. So you're in level 3, buddy. 8 half marathons is not a joke. That's a big deal. You're into serious long distance running category right now. And what's your PR, Sunil?
Yeah, it's around 2 hours, 15 minutes.
Beautiful. 2 hours 15, powerful running. Really nice. And I know that you're shaping up so well. Every season you're improving. And it's because of your extremely good strength exercise regimen that you have. That's why you're able to constantly keep improving. And of course, all 3 of you are like 5.0 kind of candidates, like, not missing anything, just keep going at it. So you guys are like model, runners for all the new runners. And this story, I'm sure all the new runners, you all should get inspired. And remember the journey from, if you hear their stories, they were either they had no clue what this is, or they are doing all the wrong things. That's the story. And now they're doing all the right things and they are like killing it. So, and that gap is not like 15 years. We are talking like a couple of years. That's it.
That's right.
So it's not like, it's not impossible to do is my point. It's very, very possible. It's just taking one thing at a time and just focus on what these 3 gentlemen are doing or just shared. Rahul, how was your race day experience, buddy?
Yeah, so in my case too, it's my 3rd season. 2 of them I did with Bala, with your program, and of course the one with which I got pulled into without much choice over there. So before I go into my race day experience, I definitely have to say, I think a big difference to me, I feel, is the immediate coach. Like Coach Suja, she is really on top of like how you're doing and all. In some cases, maybe I was walking, I kind of paused it. So I'm like, let's see, but she caught it, right? So I'm sure it's a lot of work. She has a lot of people to watch, and she's like, I see there's this pause in there. What were you doing that? I thought I'm like, I was tying my shoe. Something I just made something up. But the fact is that, but yeah, the noose doesn't get, there's no loose. It's like it's always tightened over there, right? The chabi continues to be like, you have to be on top of your game.
Yeah.
Otherwise, coach is watching. So definitely, definitely shouting out to all the coaches and of course to my coach Suja for pushing us or for making us follow this so that it has become a part of everyday thing. Even if she doesn't ask, it's like already so much inculcated in my own, and I'm sure like for everybody else's daily routine, you'll do it, right? Even if they are not forcing you to do that because of the work they've done initially, right? Coming to the race day, of course, it's anxiety. No matter I read all the, I think, videos, Bala, about you that take sleep well, don't think about it, like don't think how will you do it. I read all of it. I did whatever I could take. I was just close to taking some kind of anti-anxiety medication, which I will not, but but I somehow managed. But yeah, no matter what, it's like excitement to get up and all. The fact is that the carb loading part, I was a bit careful because I thought I'll load it all up. I'll probably end up putting like 3 pounds and have to carry those 3 pounds now, right? So, so yes, I think so. I kind of like, I stayed with like goo gels and all rather than like, going pastas and paratas and pizza and all like the whole week before. So I just, I would tell everybody to make sure we don't just try to use that opportunity to just load ourselves with like carb, like, there's no tomorrow, but just be mindful, right? What we are doing on that regards. And the next day, when you're there, see, once you are there at the start line, then there's nothing too much to think. Just execute. So that was easy, right? And I think Bala, if you remember last time, I was really hurting when you were coming. Right, you could see me, but I was able to somehow manage and able to complete it. I said I will make sure I might be able to go faster, but I will not because what I don't want to is end up walking the last 2 miles. So let me just slow down quite a lot, so at least I can keep on running, but still be able to finish it while running and not just walking over. So that's something I would suggest. Things will happen about all our training, everything. At the last moment, something will happen. Some injury might happen. Just make sure we don't make it worse. Just slow down and somehow do whatever to make sure you can run through into the finish line.
Yeah.
That's what I would think. And that's personally I've felt myself.
That's beautiful. And what was your PR, Rahul?
This time when I finished, it was about, I think, 222. It was first time I did with you, but with the program it was 238 something. So I think it came down to about 15 minutes less than that. I think 220 something in the ballpark.
And all of you are in the ballpark of 230 and below, 215 to 30. These are all you can't wing a half marathon and get a 215 to 30, let me tell you. Like the things that you did before the 4 marathons.
Yeah.
You can't do that. Because the body is not built to get to 230 to 215 without any training and somehow just come and do it and finish maybe some PT Usha can do, not us, So that just shows the training impact of all your, runs.
Absolutely.
One point I wanted to make here, audience, this point that he talked about, which is this carb loading point, right? This carb loading point, we will talk a lot more on that carb loading point. But from a funny point, carb loading doesn't mean you can go to town with carbs for one full week, So in case if somebody is dreaming, okay, let me do all the training, last week is there for me to do carb loading. Sorry to disappoint you, it's not that going to be like that. Huh? It's going to be just one day for one meal for only half marathoners and above, not 10K and 5K. I know there are some runners who got disappointed that it's not for me.
Raghu,
Raghu, Bangalore. So that is one. The other one, which is we will talk about it in the upcoming weekend message. Soul to soul. The point about you not able to go to sleep before the race. Now, this is a normal thing for pretty much not just new runners. I would say a lot of runners. It's because you've been on it for 16 weeks of mind, body, and soul transformation. So it's all aligned to a certain event that is expected to happen soon. It's like going to an interview. Only thing is you have worked really hard for 16 weeks, blood, sweat, and tears. Which interview you prepare for 16 weeks? Tell me, right? So this is a huge deal, right? And it is also, especially for new runners, first timers, you have never done that. You haven't crossed the Lakshman Rekha of 10 miles. So you do not know what your body is going to capable of doing. Mental benchmark is not in place, right? So the first timers, it's always that soul is misaligned with the body and mind right now, in the last minute, because the soul is saying, but I've never done this, how am I going to do this? So that's why it's soul to soul, which we will discuss a little bit more on the alignment part. But that's a common theme, and if you are in that theme, remember this podcast. All of us have gone through that. It's not something that, not able to sleep and extreme anxiety is normal. And but once you cross the finish line, you'll forget everything. It's all about the next season after that. When do I get this pain again? Is the basic point. Awesome, guy. I mean, I can continue talking for a long time. This has just been a fascinating conversation with this awesome spread, diverse, yet very similar kind of runners here in this podcast. So let's bring this podcast home. Let's go start from Sunil. 200 plus runners, brand new runners. I would say 250 because there are 50 RSWB light runners right now. So 250 new runners here. Some advice for them.
So the first and the foremost, I would say, like, follow the coach to the T. Don't, just follow them. That's it. And the second one, what I would say is like strength training. That's very much important, and hydration. Yeah, strength training and hydration. That's what I would be saying. Rest. Just follow the training. The training will kick off, and you will be able to do what you are planned to do.
Don't overthink. Just follow the training to the T. Exactly. Things will happen automatically. Is your basic point here, right?
That's it.
Which is so good. Thanks for saying that and making our job easier.
Yeah, I think, so following the thing, I think that is something I would repeat as well, very critical. The other thing is, I would say, if you can enjoy the process, it's easier to say right now, but I think if you run with a smile, for example, come home and you will get a high. I think that is what it is, basically. And, like just borrowing James Clear, basically, you don't want to run a half marathon, you want to be a runner. So I think at the end of the day, I think that is what you're aiming for. So.
That's a beautiful quote. You don't want to be you don't need to be you don't want to be a half marathoner. What you want is just be a runner. Rest all will happen as a byproduct, I guess. Focus on being a runner. A good runner will also be a good human being. I can tell you that because you know what it means. As I was told, a good human being in my definition is you do the hard work and you reap the benefits of hard work. When you do that, you start respecting other people who are doing the same thing. And when you start respecting other people, you automatically become an amazing human being. That's how running gets connected to this amazing human being thing. You start respecting other people, even if you don't know that person, because you know how much it took to get you to a certain point. Like first time I met Viz in West Coast, it felt like, long lost brothers connecting with each other because, it was just that. Same thing with Sunil, same thing with, I'm sure it's the same thing for you guys when you meet other runners too.
Absolutely.
That's what.
No, there's so many in the program, Bala, like I haven't met, like when I think of Coach Indu or Suja or, Coach Watts, Aparna, so many, I follow them on Strava. I've never met, but as I feel I know them.
That's right.
I think
and
that
when
is
you
the
meet
feeling.
them also, that feeling will be doubly validated. So it's a very special feeling. And thanks for saying that. Focus on becoming good runners. Rest all will flow. Rahul?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Bala. So I won't repeat what Sunil has already said before. Some points I definitely would like to add. One thing is definitely on first hand, with the injuries and all, the strength training, which is very much by honor code, that you just go in and final surgery, you can just mark it done, especially for the new ones. You can easily do that. Please do not. Do not mark it done unless you do it. Because don't cheat yourself on that one, because if you do that, you won't be able to run too long, right? So running will come, and especially Bala with the podcast you did recently about explaining so well about different muscles, how they help us out. We have to strengthen them. So please definitely use those strength training workouts to the T, of course, and make sure if you have extra time, do extra sets as well. It won't hurt you if it says, let's say, Sunday's a rest day, but honestly, if I can just go and do a small, like a little bit, not too strong, but like a little bit of training to some ankle if I know it's bothering me, So I'll probably do a bit more of ankle side. On my side, I'll do that. Other thing I would also say is, and I'll have anybody else who wants to reach out. Since I had my ankle situation, I've seen many physiotherapists, and I have a lot of the exercises which they have given me. So I have their the videos as well as the pictures. So I definitely can scan them, can share with people. If anybody else who has some situation with the ankle and they want to heal it quickly, right? Other thing I would say is also that if at some point you do go through that injury, it's definite, and you feel like I want to go out for a run. If the coach says take it easy, I think it's probably a good idea to just take maybe a 2 days break, let it heal, and then go back. So that's something I definitely would talk about that as well. And third and the last, I think it's very important for us to communicate with our coaches through Strava. It's supposed to be not a one-way interaction. We should feed back to them. Of course, a simple thanks and all is there. But on top of that, there should be a communication. So they should see that it's not one-way street only. They're taking their time to spend with us to make us better in this journey. Definitely, we should. One thing we can do minimal is try to talk to them, communicate with them, thank them, and just have this rapport develop this rapport with them. That's one thing I would add as my advice to the new runners.
Thanks for saying that, Rahul. Thank you. Really, I do know that coaches will appreciate that very much. Any feedback, positive, negative, is good. And no feedback means we don't even know whether anybody's even listening to what we are saying.
Absolutely.
So absolutely agree with you on that. That goes for the podcast and other messages. It takes time and effort to do these things. So the least you can do is see it. So in that way, 4 weeks later, if somebody asks what's a CP, I do lose my mind, because forget about not explaining the CP. He just tells me that he has not seen any of my podcasts. He or she has not seen any of my podcasts. So it tells me something more than just that question. So that's why I think, Rahul, you're bringing that point. It's a very good point. And Rahul, another side story is, since you have a special knowledge on the ankle injury part, this is why we have the discussions forums. Everyone has got the right to post it. So you can literally create under the medical, there is a section for medical thing where you can go there and
I'll do that.
it. So in that way, even if nobody reads it now, tomorrow when somebody has an ankle pain, I can say, go and take this post, and we also, coaches, can learn from it and maybe add to the various questions that keeps coming, right? So it's just an overall crowdsourcing of knowledge.
Absolutely.
And I encourage everyone to do the same. If you have any specific special experiences on anything, go to the relevant sections in the discussion board. Just sharing in WhatsApp, unfortunately, will get lost very soon because of the millions of messages that will come after that. So go to the discussion board. Everybody has the access to create a post, create the post, add the content. It's maybe if you have some video links, add it. It's very intuitive. That's it. And then rest, we will take care of it. Whenever we want to again bring it back, we'll bring it back for any other runner. Okay. So you can do that as part of that. Guys, it's been an incredible an hour or so chatting with the three of you. Thank you, guys. It's been I've learned so much. I'm inspired by all of you. You guys are leaders in your own right, very successful professionals, and also humble human beings to share in a very nice way. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much, Bala.
It was an honor to chat with you on this podcast.
Yeah, and thank you for the platform, Bala.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, Viz. Thanks, Sunil.
Yeah.
Good seeing you. Good chatting with you guys.
Thank you, Sunil. Yeah. Thank you, Rahul. Yeah.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.